So we covered Andre Onana and the goalkeeping position in the first episode. If you haven't seen that, I'll leave it linked in the description. But in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to reveal to you which of the United centre-backs I would keep, and how United can completely transform their back line for just over £100 million. But speaking of backlines, United have had some truly world-class ones over the years, and you can find all the legends over on Jersey FIFA, where you can pick up some retro jerseys from the 07-08 season, when Manchester United legitimately had one of the best back threes of all time, with Edwin van der Sar and Vidic and Ferdinand in front. Jersey FIFA also have kits from other clubs as well as from the new season. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which will be linked in the description, and if you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll also get a discount as well. So despite him arguably being United's best centre-back this season, I still think United have to sell Maguire come the summer, and with 1 year left on his contract, he's probably going to be able to bring in between 15 and 20 million pounds. Rafael Varane also has to be sold, but as soon as possible, as not only could he bring in around the same amount as Harry Maguire, but if he goes somewhere like Saudi Arabia or Bayern Munich, United will probably be able to get all of his salary off the wage budget as well. Wan-Bissaka's contract situation also forces the situation a bit. I think he can be upgraded upon, and even with 1 year left on his contract, I still think he'd be able to bring in around £25 million plus add-ons. For left back, you've still got Shaw and Malacia, and to be honest, I'm undecided on Reguilon or Alvaro Fernandez. One stays, one goes, but I think it's wise to make that decision at the end of the season, giving me more time to assess both players. But even if we do sign Reguilon permanently, which could certainly be the case, Alvaro Fernandez could be sold to raise money for the fee, with the young Spaniard likely bringing in around 10 to 15 million pounds plus add-ons. At left centre-back, Luke Shaw to me is a perfect backup for Lisandro Martinez, whilst also being able to play left-back as well, the kind of versatility that I think any top side needs. On the right, really only Dalot remains, as ideally Lindelof would be shifted on as well this summer for around £10 million. Whether United in reality are going to be able to shift all of those centre-backs, you don't really know, but I think it's something as a director of football you have to be looking to do this summer, with all of the centre-backs that I mentioned coming into the last year of their contracts. Jean-Claire Todibo would be the first man I'd bring in. The rumoured fee is around £35 million, which seems like an absolute bargain. I'd say he's worth at least £50 million in the current market, and the other player I'd look to bring in would be a versatile centre-back who can also interchange and play as a right-back as well. And that's RB Leipzig's Mohamed Simakan, who'd likely cost around £40 million this summer. I'd also look to bring in one of the best defensive fullbacks in world football as Wan-Bissaka's upgrade, who has a £35 million release clause, but I'll come on to him in just a minute, as first I want to explain my thought process behind Todibo and Simakan. Starting off, both players will still only be 24 by the start of next season, so they still have time to develop even further. Todibo would be the starting centre-back. His ball control in tight spaces is as good as you're going to get from any centre-back in Europe, bar maybe John Stones, Sandro Martinez and William Saliba. He's already accustomed to playing quick direct football through the centre of the pitch, with Nice manager Francisco Farioli being a disciple of Roberto De Zerbi. And so Todibo's forward passing between the lines is superior to Harry Maguire and substantially better than Rafael Varane, whilst he also has the pace that Maguire lacks, being a robust 1v1 defender when he's pulled out into the channel, which is a key attribute that I think United have to be looking for in a centre-back, as this provides versatility, which Simakan also has. Both Todibo and Simakan, but particularly the Leipzig man, are going to be well suited to dropping into a wide position in the back three, which is usually what we see from Ten Hag's United at this current point, and what we do see from most managers, and not just defensively when looking to hold up or stop counter-attacks, but also in possession as well. Whilst Todibo is mainly going to excel in tight congested spaces, Simakan's ability to drive powerfully into space is going to mean he is better suited to a quicker transition in attack, where he has the freedom to drive out into vacant space when he receives a ball, whereas Todibo gives you a bit less dynamism but a lot more control in possession. But the main reason why I like the Simakan signing so much is even if he isn't a starting centre-back that often, he can also play as a right back in a back four or as a right-sided centre-back in a back three, which then allows you to bring in someone like Jeremy Frimpong, triggering his £35 million release clause, which is likely only going to be around 10, maybe £15 million more than what United could sell Wan-Bissaka for. And so now in this squad you have three players in Dalot, Simakan or Frimpong who can all play as a right back but offer completely different things. Frimpong is going to be the perfect right back in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 when United come up against sides who are going to sit narrow and compact and give United space on the flanks, as Frimpong overlapping Antony, or the player who's essentially going to be my upgraded version of Antony, would be absolutely lethal. and I'll come on to who that particular right winger is in a future episode and why he'd work so well with Jeremy Frimpong specifically. But back to Frimpong, his FB ref report alone showcases how good he is going forward, with the pace to kill most fullbacks on the overlap, and with someone like Scott McTominay maybe, or an upgraded version should I say, who can make those late runs, crash in the box with the perfect timing. As well as Højlund and Bruno Fernandes all close by, you'd expect Frimpong to be able to pick up between 15 and 20 goal contributions each season, something he's already doing pretty consistently at Bayer Leverkusen. Dalot on the other hand is a fantastically versatile inverted fullback in my opinion. He's not as good as either Frimpong or Simakan on the overlap, but he is a superior crosser and passer from deeper positions. And he's still a pretty decent crosser close to the byline as well, even though I do think at the moment he has a tendency to put far too much pace on his crosses. Dalot is definitely a better positional and technical defender than Frimpong, but Simakan is probably the best of the three defensively, owing to his added physical presence, making him imposing to pretty much any winger he comes up against. Simakan is also quite the threat in the final third for such a tall player, being excellent at overlapping and playing those low passes across the box, something that I think Rasmus Højlund desperately needs in this United side. Also, all three options here provide Ten Hag with quality going forward despite having differing skill sets, making them suited to different roles. Whereas if you look at the players they are replacing, specifically Varane, Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, not only does it seem unlikely that any of those three are going to be good enough to be starters for United long term, the bigger issue is their complete lack of versatility. Whilst Harry Maguire in my opinion has been United's best centre-back so far this season, I think anyone would be stupid not to cash in on him this summer. I mean, his market value is still fairly high considering his age, wage package and contract expiry date. If Maguire had the acceleration to play in a high back line and could also be used competently in a wider defensive position, then I definitely think you can make the case for him staying. But with the quality that Simakan and Todibo bring, I honestly can't see how anyone would say selling Varane, Lindelof and Maguire for what I would estimate would be around £50 million or around that, and bringing in Todibo and Simakan for between £75 and £80 million together is not a fantastic deal for this United squad. Hopefully Varane goes to Saudi so they pay a decent fee and also take all of his wages off of the books, as surely no other European team is going to be paying him the £17.5 million that he's currently on a year at United. Maguire I could see doing well for Everton or West Ham. Lindelof I don't really care, but off the top of my head maybe Brentford or Palace take him on for 2 years or something if he does want to stay in the Premier League, but more likely he'll end up in Italy playing as a right-sided centre-back in a back three. With me also looking to bring in Frimpong, I'd be looking to move on Wan-Bissaka. Surely he goes to a top half Premier League side. I think West Ham again would be a good move for him, as he certainly suits a David Moyes system a lot more than a Ten Hag one, or the system that I would be looking to play if I was manager. In the next episode I'll be looking at United's central midfield, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. You can check out episode 1 which will be linked in the description, but also let me know what you think of Todibo, Simakan and Frimpong. I'll try to get round to reacting to some of your content, so let me know who you'd want to sign and any disagreements you have with me so far. Also, if you do want some more content, specifically non-Manchester United content, but also Manchester United podcast content, check out my Patreon. I will leave it linked in the description.